the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 413 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, August 11th, 2026. I'm your host, Eric Young, and this week is my least favorite show of the year. I don't want to give him that kind of credit, but it is my least favorite show of the year because I am solo this week. James is off on his annual vacation that he has told me I believe will fall on an off week next year with the Cup Series schedule. So hopefully I won't have to do this solo pod thing again next year and in the future. It is my least favorite thing to do. I think I hold my own just fine, but it's always nice to have James here to bounce ideas off. Please, if you see him on social media, hit him up and give him crap about taking time off. Last I knew, they had internet where he's at, so I think it's a sorry excuse that he's missing out. But it is what it is, and we'll deal with it. Bear with me tonight. It's been a crazy week. I debated bringing in some relief to help me out with the show, but it's been a really busy week for me. Kids are heading back to school and in sports and running them all over the place, and work's been busy, and I've got lots of short track racing to photograph this fall as well, or here towards the end of the summer. August is a busy month because of rainouts earlier in the season. So it was kind of like, I don't know when for sure I'm going to fit this in. So I didn't want to bring somebody in and try and make them have to deal with my schedule. So it is what it is. I'm here. You get just me this week. Probably going to be a shorter podcast. I feel like I'm coming down with some sort of a cold as well, which just is, the cap of everything. So good times. I will say before we get started on the show, before we start talking about Iowa, which was a great race, by the way, there was some news that was put out on social media, this past week. And I'm disappointed that James isn't here to be able to share in the announcement here on the podcast. But we are excited that coming up here at the end of the month, we are officially joining the Mark News podcast network, Michigan Auto Racing Connection. If you're from the Michigan area and you've been involved in motorsports for a long time, you know the Mark News name. It's been a place for racing news in the region for a long, long time. It's been reinvigorated recently. Lots of local news, national headlines, regional photography, podcasts, all kinds of stuff going on over at Mark News, and we're joining the network. We will be broadcasting live on Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. will be our start time. We'll be on, I believe, on their Facebook page. More of those details will come out. We'll get closer. As we get closer to it, we'll give you all the details on how you can find us. We hope you listen in, join us on the live broadcasts. I'm hoping to bring in a lot of new people with this as well. So hopefully you guys will get to chat with all kinds of NASCAR fans from all over, especially the Michigan region. And we're really super excited about it. You'll get to see our lovely faces every week, which I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. If you're listening to the podcast, you're subscribed to the podcast, you'll still get it the same way you've always gotten it. There will likely be a video option. I don't know quite how all that works with Apple and the way we submit our podcasts and everything. So I have to figure that out. There will be a video option. It's just a matter of whether you have to subscribe to a different feed to get the video option, or whether it will be included in this audio option and you can just choose one way or the other. Again, don't know how it works. We dealt with video a little bit. Turns out 5 years ago, I can't believe it was 5 years ago that we did video. But yeah, we did some video podcasts then. Too much work to deal with it at the time, but Zach Heiser over at Mark News has brought us on, and we're excited to get involved with them. They're gonna do the heavy lifting for it. We just have to show up and be on time every week, which some of us on this podcast might struggle with. Present company excluded. Nah, just kidding. I've done plenty of. It's really funny because the people in the know. James has become, he's gotten quite the reputation for causing us to have to reschedule and stuff. But it's funny because I think I've done it just as many times. But I love to give him crap about it. And so everybody loves to give him crap about it. So he takes the blame for it. But anyway, we will be starting, I think it's leading up to the August 29th Daytona week. We will be on 7:30 p.m. every week live and on video from there forward. You can catch us, join us in the chats, all that stuff. We hope you do. Should be a lot of fun. It's going to be a real interesting experience, and we'll see how it goes. But really excited to be part of the Mark News Network. Really excited to get going with it and get things rolling. So, good times. Things are looking up here at the Super Speedway. So let's talk about Iowa this week. It was the Iowa Corn 350 powered by Ethanol at Iowa Speedway. And Ty Gibbs gets the win in the Cup Series, second Cup Series win, and now has officially equaled the win total in the Cup Series of Corey Heim. Ty Gibbs, great battle at the end, holds off Christopher Bell, hard charge from Christopher Bell, leads the final 20 laps of the race. Bell led 108 during this race. Ryan Blaney was also really strong, 129 laps led, but Ty Gibbs able to hold off Christopher Bell for the win. I saw a lot of people really bothered by the whole aero push and aero effects that Ty Gibbs was able to hold off Bell with aero on what is considered to be a short track. I mean, it's a 0.875 mile track. Under NASCAR's terms, yes, it's a short track because it's under a mile, but it's not really a short track. There's definitely aero issues here. And look, I'm the first one to complain about some of the aero stuff with this car, but I'm also of the standpoint, like, everybody thinks the solution is to make it easy to pass. That's not the solution. The solution to fixing our racing is not making it easy to pass. If it's easy to pass, the fast car will pass everybody and get the lead and run away with it. You're still going to have runaways. The difference now is the problem. The problem is that the fast car catches a slower car and can't get past them. So you want them to be able to pass, but you don't want it to be easy to pass. And I would argue that they were able to pass this weekend. We saw people come through the field in this race and make passes. We saw passes for the lead. Like it was not, you don't want it to be easy to pass. You just want to be able to pass. I was fine with this. And you look at the O'Reilly Series race the day before, and there were issues there too with passing. It wasn't super easy to pass the leader. So again, this is what we want. I think, man, we're going to repave this track, and I hope that's the right decision. I'm confident that we've figured out the formula now with paving tracks, that they know how to pave a track and have it still be good the first year and especially the second year. But I'm afraid of them really hurting this place, because when they first repaved the inside of the turns, it was rough. It was not good. And then now it's really good again. But we want it to be good to where they can race bottom of the track up to the wall. So hopefully the repave does that, but I hope we don't lose anything with that repave. I know it needs to be done, and I know the track's in rough shape and all that stuff, and I get it. I hate repaving tracks because, you just don't know for sure what you're going to get. But I think we have a better idea of what we're going to get now with the repave. So I'm a little more confident with this. You knew it was coming. As soon as the governor or whatever dropped the hint that they were going to be investing $20 million into this track, this in the off season, I knew for sure that it was going to be in a repave, or at the very least there would be a repave involved. So that's happening. So we'll see what happens. I hope it's good. But again, I thought this racing was really good. This track is treacherous. Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick showed us how treacherous this track is. Very early, taking out Eric Jones. Talk about, man, just a complete implosion from that team. And it's so frustrating if you're a Tyler Reddick fan, because it's not Tyler Reddick doing anything. It's not 2311 doing anything. I mean, this was Reddick's issue. Reddick made a mistake and crashed. But for the most part, they're getting caught up in other stuff. Stuff is happening to them. They just don't have any luck. And it's just wild how it's just completely taken them out of, I know there's no regular season championship anymore, but taking them out of that first seed and eliminated any chance of them being in that first seed going into the chase. I mean, Reddick's dropped back to 4th now in the points, which is just wild. I mean, we were penciling him in as the number 1 seed 3 weeks into the season, and no way anybody was going to catch up to him. And now Denny Hamlin's got a 100 point lead over Ty Gibbs. And Ty Gibbs is in freaking second place in the points now with this win. I feel like he snuck in there. He shouldn't have, because he's been running really well every week. But everybody was watching Blaney and what Blaney was doing. And here comes Ty Gibbs, man, just out of nowhere, sneaks past everybody into second place. 103 points behind Denny Hamlin. Obviously, Denny Hamlin's teammate. Don't expect Denny to slip a bunch here. With just a few races left to go, but you never know what happens. Obviously, Reddick has shown us how quick you can spiral in this format, and it's wild. And I think what happened to Reddick is even less a story of what you can expect in the season as it is what you can expect in the chase. Because, we're all sitting here like, you're going to have to be top 3, top 6 to win the championship. Like, there's no way you're going to be outside of that. But, man, if you can go on a run and a couple of your competitors struggle, this win thing, the extra points you get for a win has such an effect that it's not as cut and dried as it seems like it might be. And as somebody who was skeptical of going away from the win and you're in playoff format, I'm pretty excited about what this chase could bring. And look, I mean, it's likely that it's going to be, we're not going to see near as much shuffling in the points. And, I wouldn't be surprised to see Denny Hamlin go on a run and hold on to that spot, or not see a lot of changes up front. But I don't know. It's there. It's not a foregone conclusion it's going to happen, but it's there. It's an option. And I think that's what you want in this. You want there to be chances. You don't want the ridiculousn's of every year there's something crazy that happens, because then that crazy thing becomes expected. It's not as much fun, and then it feels like a gimmick. And I liked the playoffs, but that was definitely something I saw with them that bothered me. I just liked the entertainment enough and the chaos enough that it didn't bother me enough to want to change that. But I understand the people who didn't like it. There's still ways for it to happen. Just if things go right, they won't happen. So it'll be interesting. There's less of a chance of crazy things happening, and then there's more uncertainty as a result too, especially when we've done the chase before, but we haven't done the chase before with this format, with points the way they are now, with the winning points the way they are, with stages the way they are. We've never done the chase with this much competition is what we have now versus what we had, 20 years ago. So it's interesting. It'll be really fun to watch. I'm looking forward to hitting the chase and seeing how it goes, but we're not quite there yet. A couple other things worth mentioning in this race. I'm not going to go really super into detail on a lot of this stuff this week, just because, again, you guys don't want to sit here and listen to me ramble for an hour and a half. We'll get this in under 45 minutes tonight if we can. That's the goal. But Hendrick, Penske, man. Again, just doing Penske stuff as we approach the end of the season. Ryan Blaney gets third place finish in this race, but how about Josh Berry with a fourth place finish? This is a guy fighting for his life, fighting for a chance to continue racing in the Cup Series, fighting for a chance to continue racing in NASCAR, period. There's nothing announced. Josh Berry is going nowhere right now. has been no announcement. So he's fighting for everything. No stage points on the day, but able to finesse his way to a top 5 finish. Just absolutely great for him. Denny Hamlin, top 5, with the brake issues they were having heading into this weekend. What are your thoughts on the brake issues? Do you think Denny said on his podcast that NASCAR was gonna invent a rule, essentially, if they decided that they weren't going to compete with the brakes that they had because of safety. And so normally if there's an issue with your car, you can go to NASCAR, request a change, and they'll put you in the back, and so you lose your starting spot, but they'll let you make the change. And for this one, they're like, no, you can't. You just plain out, you're not allowed to change it. And obviously JGR is arguing that it's a safety issue. Obviously we saw the race and there was no safety issue. They managed just fine. There were no wrecks or anything caused, no failures caused because of their choice on these brake pads. I kind of feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of okay with NASCAR saying, listen, like, if you guys want these areas you can work in, right? We've taken a lot of those away, but there's still areas that you can experiment. There's still areas you can innovate on. And they don't want their practice and qualifying to be a test session every weekend. And I kind of support that. Like, if you're going to bring that stuff to the track, go ahead, bring it to the track, try it out. But if it doesn't work, it's tough. You got to deal with the consequences. So, yeah, it's interesting. It was definitely an interesting story that played out. But Denny still managed to get a top 5 finish on a day when Tyler Reddick finishes 36th. Gains a huge amount of points on him. I mean, Denny Hamlin had 37 points in this race. Tyler Reddick got 1. So he gained 36 points on him in this race with that finish. So, again, just capitalizing on things. I still, obviously we reset when we go into the chase, but Denny's my guy. He's the one. He's on a heater right now. He's doing everything he needs to do. I think this is finally Denny's year to win a championship. So, but we'll see. Anything can happen. Ross Chastain, top 10 finish, finishes 7th. Good run for him. 6th and 3rd in the stages. Led 40 laps during this race. Nice to see Ross up toward the front. AJ Allmendinger continues to do things in that, unsupported Chevrolet with a top 10 finish. Finishes 8th in this one. And how about Austin Dillon? Top 10 finish. He ran really well in this race as well. Finished 5th in the first stage. Got to be looking forward to going to Richmond this weekend. Obviously, this track has some similarities to Richmond. There's a lot less similarities than people want to think there is because it's, the shape is the same. It's a bigger track. It's not really at all like Richmond. It's about the same as Richmond as Auto Club Speedway was to Michigan. They might look the same. They're just, or all the cookie cutter tracks. They're not the same. But Austin ran well here and certainly will run well this weekend at Richmond. So Connor Zilich, just outside the top 10, finally gets a good finish for him. 9th and 10th in the stages too. So he ran up front all day. So good for Connor to have a good run. Bubba Wallace outside of the top 10, sped on pit road. Freddie Kraft took blame for that on Door Bumper Clear if you didn't listen to that this week. Noah Gragson had a really good performance in this one. He finished 17th, so he didn't end up finishing the day out, but they were up toward the front. So good to see a good run out of him as well. We mentioned Tyler Reddick, Eric Jones being involved in the early wreck. Both finished 35th and 36th, tail end of the field. Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman also caught up in a wreck in this one, back of the field as well. 33rd, 34th, 35th, 36th. Kyle Larson, man, just continues to struggle. I don't know when that win's coming, but that winless streak is stretching out quite a bit. But they've got to turn it around. Larson's got plenty of talent. There's plenty of support there at Hendrick. So got to imagine that will turn around sooner than later. Spire cars were kind of out to lunch in this one. Carson Hocevar finishes 31st. SVG had a rough day. Yeah, I think that kind of runs down everything on this one. We'll talk about the stage break procedures in the discussion of the news later on, but it didn't really come into effect in this race, so not really a place to discuss it right now. Again, second victory in 146 Cup Series races for Ty Gibbs. Second victory in 15th top 10 finish this season. First top 10 finish for him in 3 races at Iowa. Denny Hamlin, as we mentioned, is your points leader, 103 points over Ty Gibbs in the NASCAR Cup Series. NASCAR O'Reilly Series was in action the day before. I really wasn't sure I was going to get to talk much about this race, and we'll get into that in the Black Flags coming up. But I did actually get to watch the race. So Carson Kvapil gets the win at the end. Second win in a row for him. Second win of his career. Beats Raja Caruth to the checkered flag. Raja gets a second place finish. Good to see a good turnaround from Raja now that he's in the JRM car for the rest of the season. 3 JRM cars in the top 4 again, as usual. Not surprising. William Sawalich gets himself a third place finish in this one. Obviously, big story. Justin Allgaier stays out quite a while on tires, and just puts himself at a disadvantage. I didn't understand this. I mean, obviously, they've got a good points lead. They've got room to play around, but it just feels like this team loves to give wins away. And it just made no sense to me why you would want to come through the field. And I mean, maybe it probably would have worked because he was up towards the front when he ended up getting wrecked. But I mean, they don't know that we're just going to have caution after caution after caution and not have a long run to where they need to change the tires. And now the people's tires haven't worn enough to make a difference for him to be able to come up through the field. So maybe if that didn't happen, he'd have been all right. Maybe if he didn't get caught up in the wreck, it would have been all right. But gets caught up in the wreck with our buddy Brent Cruz, who tried a little too hard down in turn 1 and took out a good chunk of cars, good chunk of really good cars in this one. Brent he's gonna make those mistakes. He's a young kid, still learning his way, and got a real fast car, but that hurts Brent really bad as far as the chase is concerned. Really takes a hit there as far as making it in. Definitely went the wrong direction. Somebody that was pretty solidly in now right there on whether he makes it or not to the chase. So they're going to have to turn some things around over. I mean, they're going into Daytona. Got to turn some things around for them to be able to get him in. So rough day for him. Again, cost Justin Allgaier a chance at a win as well. Justin ends up finishing 24th. But Carson Kvapil gets it done. I think we're going to see this kid in victory lane quite a bit more. I always say once you get that first win, the rest of them come easier. So I want to mention Corey Day. He took a hell of a hit in this race. Really, really hard wreck. He finishes 36th. Bummer for them. Another one of those. Just stuff seems to happen to Corey Day as well. Trying to look here. Nick Sanchez, another run in the 87 car, finishes 6th in this one. So a good run for him. Dean Thompson, top 10 with the 8th place finish. Harrison Burton, Brendan Poole, both top 10, 9th and 10th. So good runs for them. Ryan Sieg looked really, really good in this race. Led 65 laps, won the first stage. Certainly looked like he was going to have a shot. Pit crew just not to the level of these top guys, and that cost him, put him back a little bit. Still was able to battle back up, but ends up in that wreck with Allgaier and them, courtesy of Brent Cruz, and that was the end of the day for any chances, at least for Ryan Sieg at getting the win. So yeah, that was a bummer. I think that's about it for the O'Reilly race. Again, good race. I thought the racing was really fun. These cars race good here. I mean, Iowa's a great track. I'm glad to see this back on the schedule for next season. I would really hate to see the track go away. It's a really good racetrack. First few years of it, I wasn't quite so sure when we raced, the Busch Series or Nationwide Series there in the trucks. But it's really come around, especially since the Cup Series has been going there. So I'm happy that we're there and happy that we're going to continue to be. Second victory in 65 O'Reilly Series races for Carson Kvapil. Second victory in 14th top 10 finish in 2026. Let's see. Second top 10 finish in 2 races at Iowa Speedway, so he's never finished outside of the top 10. Brent Cruz was still your highest finishing rookie in 16th, and Justin Allgaier is your points leader, 230 points over Carson Kvapil. Carson also is the 9th driver to earn his first 2 O'Reilly Auto Parts Series wins in consecutive races. First since Shane Van Gisbergen in 2024. So there you go. There's the NASCAR O'Reilly Series at Iowa. Let's talk some news. A little bit of news this week. Again, newsier week, especially I guess it's been 2 weeks since we recorded last. NASCAR has been leaking its own schedule this season. Jordan Bianchi, of course, had his big schedule article on The Athletic last week, but the tracks are kind of releasing their own dates as the weeks go or the days go on. We had a bunch of releases today on tracks with dates. Most of them are pretty much on par with what we'd expect. But some things I wanted to discuss a little bit here. One of them, we got the announcement that the Clash is going back to Daytona in 2027. So next year's Clash will be the day before the Super Bowl at Daytona, leading into Speed Week for the 500 the following weekend. Again, I wish James was here to discuss this with me because we have very differing opinions on this. I guess my thing is I'm not. It's not that I don't want the Clash to be at Daytona. The problem I have is we're now losing another track to have the Clash back at Daytona. And instead, we're giving a track now 3 dates on a schedule. And Daytona's a great track. Super Speedways are awesome. I love Super Speedways. Our freaking podcast is named after Super Speedways. But we don't need 3 races at Daytona. And James is of the argument that we need the appetizer leading into the 500. I don't think that the Clash was an appetizer leading into the 500 for the several years before it went away from Daytona. I think that's why we left the oval and eventually Daytona altogether in the first place, is that it wasn't good racing. It wasn't, here's an advertisement for what you might see next week. It was a freaking demolition derby and tearing up a bunch of equipment in front of 35 people in the grandstands. And so I hope that people are excited and they go back and they attend this race. I hope it's a good race. We've yet to see what the format's going to be. Really, really hope we do something really simple, small number of cars, back to maybe pole winners or however you want to put people in. But this shouldn't be a everybody qualifies type of race. It should be short, sprint. That's it. We don't need a massively long race. We don't need freaking pit stops in the Clash. Sorry, we just don't. I love the pit crews. They are important every single week. They do not need to be important in the Clash. We don't need fuel. We don't need any of that stuff. Let's just freaking race. If we have to fuel mileage race in the Clash, then it is the dumbest thing ever. So hopefully all that gets ironed out. I'm very, very skeptical. But again, I know Bowman Gray was a tough one because of the weather when the Clash is. I get that. And I know that with the Clash, when it is, there's a very limited number of tracks that could potentially host a race that time of year. I mean, there's a couple tracks in Florida that certainly could host, a couple short tracks that could host a race like this, but they're not owned by NASCAR, so of course NASCAR is not going to go there. But I don't like the idea of losing a track. We're losing Bowman Gray as a Cup Series track. There's rumors that it's going to be a Truck Series race this year or next year, which I think is awesome. That's a great place for the trucks, by the way. I think there's no better series to run at Bowman Gray than the Truck Series. I'd love to wouldn't mind seeing ARCA go there too, but at the same time, you run the modifieds there with the Truck Series, and I don't know. It could be a lot of fun. It could be a really cool weekend. So hopefully that happens. But it's a bummer to see Bowman Gray come off the Cup schedule. I really think Bowman Gray is a great fit for the All-Star race. But the rumor is that's going back to North Wilkesboro, which I think is a disappointment. I think it's a slap in the face of the fans that sold that place out this year. That were excited about it being a points race. It's a slap in the face of the whole revival that we're now taking the points race away. I know that NASCAR and SMI wants us to believe that the All-Star race is not a downgrade from a points weekend. But it is. It just is. I mean, it's less important because the drivers don't care about the money. They care about the points. And there's nothing special about the All-Star race. It's not, again, everybody freaking qualifies. The thing they did at Dover this year was ridiculous. So it just isn't special enough to stand alone as a non-points race. So I think that's a major bummer. Not to mention, I hope they don't do a 450 lap All-Star race. But 450 laps, 400 laps at North Wilkesboro was awesome. Despite the fact that maybe it wasn't super exciting, it was really cool to see the lap traffic and everything they had to do there, and tire wear and whatnot. So I don't know. I know I'm all over the place. Again, I don't want us to go. I know there's talk about bringing the All-Star race back to Charlotte. And again, that's another thing. Like, I'm sorry, Charlotte has 2 dates already. It doesn't need 2 dates. Why we don't need to give it a third and take a track away. I don't know. I worry that I know that there's a lot of diehard old time NASCAR fans that are excited because we're going back to our roots. We're going back to how things were. You know, the next thing we're going to discuss here is Bristol. The Bristol night race is going back to August. It's not as important to be in a elimination spot in the playoffs anymore because there is no elimination spot. There is no playoffs. Where you are in the chase doesn't really matter. So it comes back to August when it traditionally was, which from most of the people that I've heard talk about it, they hated because it's hot as hell and humid and miserable. And, but I'm excited about it because it means it's also not during the school year. So, we can make our family trip out there potentially next year or in the near future, to go to Bristol, and I can finally attend the night race, in person, which is something I've wanted to do my entire life. So that's cool. I'm excited about it. But again, I don't want us to go backwards to the point like where we just go back to what we used to be. I don't want the schedule to be the same as it was in, 2005 or whatever. I don't want to go backwards like that. I think there are some progressions we've made that have not been positive. There's plenty of those, but they haven't all been negative. Every change hasn't been a bad thing. So let's work on the car. Let's fix the car. Let's fix some of this other stuff. And just going back to the old schedule doesn't get me excited. Doesn't do much for me. I really like the fact that we were going to new venues and everything. We don't have, as far as it looks, we have no new venues on the schedule for 2027, which I think is a huge disappointment. We've got potentially 2 street races next season. As it sounds like there's a really good chance that San Diego is coming back, which is not surprising because when something's successful, we have to try to duplicate it. I really like San Diego. I'm excited it's coming back, but at the same time, I recognize the fact that 80% of the reason why it was so great was because it was brand new. Nobody knew the track. Nobody knew what to expect. It was a completely new experience, and you can't duplicate that the second time. Just like the Coliseum, just like Bowman Gray, just like the Chicago Street Course, it's just not going to be the same the second year. It won't be as special the second year. But it's something to success. Everybody wants to capitalize on it and do it again. And it's so hard to commit to one of these events as a 1-year event without backing them up without at least a second year. NASCAR likes to do things in 3s. So they did talk about, I think on DBC, that there will likely be some track changes. Probably the biggest one will be the switch of the front stretch in pit road. So that pit road is on the inside of the front stretch instead of the outside. We don't have cars crashing into pit road and through the barriers like we did last year. So that'll be interesting. Probably a little bit easier of a turn there too, which might cause fewer issues. So anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Obviously, that hasn't been announced yet. Chicago Street Course is the other one that is rumored. It sounded like it was not going to happen, and then it sounded like, oh, it might happen, and we might be able to do Chicago Street and Chicagoland. And then it started to sound like, nope, it's going to be Chicago Street. Now, the last I heard, it kind of sounded like there's some financial things that are making it where it's possible it won't happen. This is another one of those guys where we've got a perfectly good 1.5-mile racetrack just south of Chicago that we're going to abandon once again. And there is not a bigger slap in the face that you can give to fans than say, if you guys want Chicagoland, sell it out. And they freaking sold it out. They packed the place. It wasn't just a sellout that, oh, we said we sold all the tickets, but half the people aren't there. That place was freaking packed, even with tons of rain and muddy parking lots and terrible parking situations and all that. That place was still packed on Sunday. And we're going to slap everybody in the face and take that race away, even for 1 year. But just, I'm sorry, man. I will be so, I think the Chicago Street Race is great, but I will be so disappointed if we lose Chicagoland, even for 1 year again, so we can go back to the streets in Chicago. That would be a huge slap in the face to NASCAR or to NASCAR fans. And again, I just argue, at least San Diego, they wanted us there. City of Chicago didn't want us, and now they want us back. Just go somewhere else. Go somewhere that people want us to be. We've got a perfectly good track down in Joliet. Let's just keep racing there. Let's put some more improvements in that place. Let's put $20 million into that place and see what happens at Chicagoland. But don't repave the track there. That track is awesome. Speaking of that $20 million, we mentioned Iowa Speedway getting the repave. They are moving to July 4th weekend. Anybody from the Midwest who is excited about spending July 4th in Iowa? Yeah. It's going to be hot, guys. Fortunately, Iowa has lights. I would assume it will be a night race because it's 4th of July weekend. It's always good to have fireworks after the 4th of July race. I don't have a problem. Look, we don't need to go back to Daytona for 4th of July. Daytona doesn't want us on the 4th of July weekend because the city of Daytona wants another event weekend. So give up on the 4th of July weekend at Daytona. I don't even know why. Everybody cares about it because Dale Jr. likes it. Dale Jr. likes to go to the race and go to the beach afterwards. So everybody's gung ho about. I'm sorry. I know it was the Firecracker 400 or whatever, but does everybody really care that much about Daytona being on 4th of July? Does it really bother you guys that much that race is not on 4th of July? Southern 500, like I get, totally understand. Always Labor Day, There's races like that. Coca-Cola 600, man, if you move that off of Memorial Day, come on, you're crazy. But we're really going to go out on a limb for Daytona on 4th of July. Obviously, the 4th of July date has been less important for NASCAR. They've moved it around a bunch over the years. Even when Daytona was the 4th of July race, it was not always the 4th of July weekend. Sometimes it fell the weekend before or the weekend after. So again, just that tradition that everybody thinks was there was not there. Yes, way back in the 80s, they raced it on actual 4th of July, but we haven't done that in decades. So just give up on it. Give up on that whole thing. I think Iowa's fine for 4th of July. I don't think it needs to be a special race. I do think that it should be a night race, or at least end at night, so you can have fireworks afterwards. Because I think you need fireworks on 4th of July. But I'm fine with Iowa being the 4th of July race. Like I said, more bothered by the fact that it's Iowa in July, which is going to be pretty toasty. But I mean, so is Chicago. So it is what it is. So whatever. I'm for it. Whatever happens. Those are really the big schedule things. I think, trying to think if there's anything else that really jumped out. Everything else kind of, obviously we're waiting to fill in some of the extra slots. There's races we don't have announcements for. It sounds like Chicago Street is the big one, holding everything up, and potentially San Diego as well. So we'll see what happens with those, but no international races again next season by the looks of things. Again, no new venues. So, not really changing much out. Some tracks coming into the playoffs or into the chase, some tracks coming out of the chase. But nothing really too thrilling there. So, Jordan Bianchi has good reporting on this. Obviously, if you follow people on X, you'll see a lot of this as well. Like I said, a bunch of track announcements today. I'm trying to think here. I think Martinsville made some announcements. Las Vegas announced their dates. Yeah, it's been quite a few announced. So yeah, that's what we got going forward for the schedule. William Sawalich signs a 1-year deal with a 1-year extension with JGR. No big surprise there. They've done well there. O'Reilly Series is going to be interesting this year. Silly season. I think there's going to be a lot of movement. There's obviously 1 to 2 big openings at RCR that need to be filled. So we'll see what happens with all of the stuff in the O'Reilly Series. Obviously, we haven't heard much about JRM either. So definitely some options for some movement there. We've had several drivers that were there part-time this season, so it'll be interesting to see what JRM does with their rides, especially, being essentially the top team. And not essentially, they are the top team in the O'Reilly Series right now. So we'll see what happens there. We got the big announcement from Steve O'Donnell himself on X of the new stage break procedures that began at Iowa this weekend. We didn't get to test them because we didn't run into the issue, but essentially if a caution comes out within 10 laps of the end of a stage, that will become the stage break. They will go through their stage break procedures, points will be awarded, and we will go back to green as soon as we can after that, instead of having to, in the past, run off laps to finish the stage under caution and then go through the pit stop procedures, or like we did at Indianapolis, where you go through the pit stops, take the breaks, all that, everybody, they choose, blah, 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 come back to green for 1 lap and then have the caution for the stage and go through the whole thing again. This is a good thing. I've been calling for this since, I think, like the first year of stages. I think they started not long before Michigan, and if not right before Michigan. And we went to an O'Reilly Series race at Michigan and had one of these things happen with the stage break where we had to run out the end of the stage because the caution came out just before it. And at that time I said we should look at this. They've done it with ARCA with the halfway break, where they'll move that up sometimes. I think they used to do it with the trucks too, when they used to have a halfway break. Obviously there was concern about strategies and fuel mileage and all that stuff, but at the same time, you run a long caution and eat into the second stage, so you're still cutting stage time out one way or the other. So I think this is a good solution. I don't think it fixes the problem. I think we have a major problem with caution length in NASCAR, period. They talked about this a lot on DBC this week, and it's true. 10 laps, 8 laps under caution, it's silly. Like, especially at a track like Indianapolis, why we're running that many laps under caution. But even the short tracks, throw the caution, get the field in line. First time by with the pace car, pit road opens, make your pit stops, come around to 1 to go, lap cars pit, go back to green. I think one of the things people are overlooking with lap cars pitting on the 1 to go lap is that the lap cars can't choose if they pit, because obviously the choose happens with 1 to go. The choose definitely adds an extra lap to our cautions. That being said, if you're a lap down, do you need to choose? Nope. I don't think you need to choose. So have them line up. Have them line up all on the inside lane, all in the outside lane. Have them double up. I don't care how you do it, but they don't need to choose if they're a lap down. That helps get rid of a lap. We spend way too much time lollygagging before we start pit stops, especially during stage breaks. And I realize it's TV, and it's really frustrating because I remember there was a time, not that long ago, where they'd come back from commercial and the race had already restarted, because the race was going to restart when it was time to restart, and TV had to do what they had to do to get back. And it is not like that anymore, folks. It is TV tells NASCAR when we go back to green. TV tells NASCAR when they can pit. TV has way more control, and it comes with multi-million-dollar contracts to broadcast races, that when that much money is being put into our sport by an entity, they get that control. And so if you like your TV coverage, that's your trade-off, unfortunately. I do think NASCAR needs to step in and figure out a way to solve it. But you're not going to be able to do it without the TV, and TV they probably have too much power right now, but I don't know what you do otherwise. So I guess we'll see as we go forward. NASCAR is committing to continuing on this. This is just the start, so we'll see what they decide going forward. Only other news item, Dean Thompson has signed for a third Haas factory team ride in O'Reilly in 2027. So he'll be joining the team, number to be announced in the future. And Gene Haas also said they have no intentions of leaving the Cup Series. They are planning to keep their charter. They are planning to continue on. And then Tommy Baldwin hinted this week on DBC, and Freddie Kraft hinted that there are some partnerships going on with Haas and another team that began this week, and we'll see results going forward, and it's very positive for the team. So we'll see what all goes into that going forward. So there you are. There's your news. I don't think anything new is broken on the Twitters, on X, while I was talking here. So yeah, there you go. They are practicing at Berlin Raceway for the Tecton 250 battle at Berlin tomorrow night. Cletus McFarland's out there running some laps at Berlin Raceway, among others. So that'll be a fun event. I was hoping to go out to that this year, but not going to be able to make it. I'll be watching it on Flow tomorrow night, though, for sure. So let's see what else. Checkered flags and black flags. I don't really have anything for checkered flags. I guess if I was going to throw out a checkered flag, I would throw one out for USA. I thought they did a good job for the first race back. I saw some people complaining a little bit about some of the stuff, but I don't know. I didn't watch pre-race or post-race. Just watched the race itself. I thought they did a nice job. I still thought it was better than Fox. I thought Trevor Bayne in the pace car as a pace car analyst was interesting. I don't know that it really did anything for me. But props to USA for trying something. That was cool to see. Lee Diffie back is fine. I prefer Adam Alexander up there. But Lee does a good job. I like the group that they have on the broadcasts for USA/NBC. So I'm okay with it. I do like Trevor Bayne being involved. I think he does a good job. But again, I don't know. Reporting from the pace car really gives you much. I mean, I guess during a rain delay, it'd be pretty cool when they go out and check the track a bunch of times to see what the conditions are. That would be kind of neat. But hopefully we don't have to deal with rain. Although the next couple of weeks we got rain tires, so I guess it doesn't matter. So, but anyway, I thought they did a good job for the first week back, and hopefully that continues. You got to imagine that it'll continue to improve week to week. Although NBC USA is kind of a little bit more tried and true than, TNT and Prime, to where, there's less work. I don't know if they know what they're doing, but there's just more experience there, I think. Although a lot of the NBC production is what does the Prime production as well. So they obviously learned from Prime as well, and can use that toward their part of the season as well. So good stuff there. I thought it was a good broadcast. Black flags. Got a couple black flags. The first one I want to throw out is, speaking of TV networks, I want to throw out a little black flag at the CW, and come to find out it maybe not entirely the CW's fault. So I posted on X on Saturday. So I was in Toledo this weekend for the Turn 1 CRA Pro Series race at Toledo Speedway on Sunday. I do photos for that series. So we had a race Sunday at Toledo. And so Saturday I traveled down and stayed in a hotel Saturday night. And because I was on the road during the O'Reilly race, I wasn't able to watch the O'Reilly race live. So usually I would just flip on YouTube TV and turn it on and watch the race recorded, because it records every week automatically. Problem is if you're outside of your area, as you know, because it's CW, because it's a regional channel, if you're out of your region, you can't access your recording. It doesn't record on every region. It just records on your region. So if I'm down there, which I think is WGN, I can watch the race live, but I can't watch the recording unless I already set it to record. And even that is really convoluted as to how it works. I don't know if if you can even make it work. I think it just records off your home area. So either way, I'm like, this sucks. I'm not gonna be able to watch the race. I was bummed. So I'm like, well, let me check out. I know they used to be able to watch it on the CW's website and on their app. So I'm like, okay, I could do that, but that's not an option anymore now. CW has moved to ESPN. Oh, what the heck is it called? ESPN Unlimited, I think is what it's called. So I'm like, okay, I'll sign up for ESPN Unlimited for a month and watch the race, and then I'll just unsubscribe. So I go on there to check it out. It's $29.99 a month to watch on freaking to subscribe to ESPN Unlimited. Is there that much stuff on ESPN is worth paying $30 a month for? That's insane. So I'm like, all right, I know I've got a podcast. I got to talk about NASCAR, but I guess I'll talk about the O'Reilly racer and the highlights. Well, a couple things. So I will be willing to take the L. I didn't take the L on X. I mean, I kind of did, but I'll say it here. Couple things. First of all, I did not post after the fact, but I did go on to YouTube TV, and it turns out that my region was still accessible from Toledo. So I was able to watch the race from my original recording, and so I did watch it Saturday night. So that pretty much negated my issues, except that it's still irritating that it is an issue. So, and maybe it's YouTube TV's issue. I don't know how all that licensing crap works, whether it's YouTube TV's fault or CW's fault or whatever. It's freaking network TV. Should be able to watch it wherever I'm at without having plug an antenna in. But either way, also come to find out, and let me go because I'm going to give credit to the person who told me. Oh, I got people fired up on another issue that we're going to talk about here in a second. Jacob Nelson tweeted me and said that you actually you get unlimited ESPN Unlimited for free with YouTube TV as a YouTube TV subscriber. When I was looking it up, it looked like you had to sign up for YouTube or for ESPN Premium through YouTube TV. Like you had to pay for the $30 a month through Google instead of through ESPN. But turns out, apparently, I say apparently because I haven't gotten it to work yet. Apparently, as a YouTube TV subscriber, you can get ESPN Unlimited for free. You just have to connect your accounts. Well, that has been a problem because today I've been trying to connect my account and I keep getting error upon error upon error, and it's not letting me do it. So in theory, if you're a YouTube TV subscriber, as I am, you can get ESPN Unlimited. But God, if I was trying to set it up as I was getting ready to watch the race, I would have lost my mind and probably broken my iPad over my leg at this point. Because I can't get it to work. So, rumor has it is a thing, but I haven't confirmed that yet. But it seems to be. So it's right now. It's either my error, YouTube's error, or ESPN's error. Somebody's error. Disney. Blame it on Disney. It's all Disney's fault. Somebody's error, but it's supposed to work. So the other black flag that I have, and this is my fun one. It is my nearly weekly discussion of stupid S that Kyle Petty says.
What the has Kyle Petty got to do with this?
So Kyle Petty talking on, I'm assuming it's some NBC show with Steve Letarte that I saw shared on social media, and I didn't care enough to go dig through and figure out what it was from. But anyway, Kyle Petty basically throws Christopher Bell under the bus and says that Christopher Bell is not able to finish races, that he keeps coming up second, that he's the problem, blah, 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 blah. And I just tweeted, Kyle Petty, 8 Cup Series career wins. Christopher Bell, 13 Cup Series career wins. That's the end of the argument to me. Again, Kyle Petty continues to just run his mouth and say stupid crap to get us to talk about him. We take the bait. We talk about him. It's a dumb take. I've got people in my mentions now on X because somebody important apparently retweeted it. And they are arguing with me, legitimately arguing with me about the talent of Kyle Petty and that he was hindered by the poor equipment he was in when he raced in the Cup Series, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm not saying he didn't drive crappy equipment. I was saying that if you want to compare the talent of Kyle Petty in his prime to the talent of Christopher Bell currently or in his prime, and you want to put them on the same level, you are freaking insane. Absolutely insane. The only reason Kyle Petty had mediocre rides was because his last name was Petty, because he was Richard's son, because he was Lee's grandson. That's the only reason he even had mediocre rides. He couldn't even, with his name, get a top ride. He wouldn't have been able to perform in a top ride. It's just nuts. It's just, I get it that people just want to argue on Twitter and argue on social media, and that's the thing. That's the cool thing to do. But it's just so dumb. And I guess Black Flag to me for talking about freaking Kyle Petty again on this podcast, because it's such a waste of breath and energy. But I just wish people stopped giving him a microphone and letting him take his bad takes. So I'm dying over here. So I am going to continue on and get this show out of here. We've already gone longer than I expected. So Richmond Raceway this weekend, we head to Richmond for the Cup Series and the Truck Series, both in action. The Craftsman Truck Series kicks things off on Friday night with the Black's Tire 250, presented by BTS Awards, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports 1. NASCAR O'Reilly Series is off this week. They are off till Daytona. The NASCAR Cup Series has the Cookout 400 at Richmond on Saturday, 7 p.m. on USA. I'm trying to remember. I think James is okay with the Saturday night races. He apparently doesn't have to get up early on Sundays, but it's too late for him on Sunday nights. I don't know. It's silly. But anyway, James got the first pick this week, and he screwed me over by taking my pick. He's going for a three-peat with Austin Dillon as his winner this week at Richmond. So I'm taking my backup plan, which is Joey Logano, to get the win at Richmond. We'll see who comes out on top there. Looking at the Fantasy League real quick. I thought I was prepared for this, but I guess I'm not quite. I know Hot Rod Todd got the win this week with 277 points. James squeaks himself out of second place with 255 points. Let's see. Todd, Freight Train, 295, comes in third. 250, tied with Barron Speedway for third. Tandem Draft Tona, I finished sixth with 228 points. I, again, didn't watch the race live this weekend, so I didn't get to play with my bench. I don't think it would have mattered anyway, because if I remember correctly, I had Eric Jones on my bench, so I would have kept him there anyway. So it is what it is. That's your Fantasy League look for Iowa. Currently, Freight Train still leads us 49-49. James still trying to track him down, but with Freight Train finishing right behind him, it's not going to go so well. 47-81 for James. Smoke and Grill Racing in third, 47-52. I'm hanging out back in seventh place with 46-18. So not where I want to be, but yeah. So there we go. I think I got it all in. Fantasy League is usually James's thing, but I think I filled in for him just fine there. Next week, James will be back. We'll be back to recording just like this for another, 1 week, 2 weeks? Next week. Next week's our last audio-only podcast. We'll switch to live on the 25th of August, leading into Daytona. So very excited about that again. Visit marknews.org if you want some more news from them. Big supporters of them, of course, as they are now supporters of us as well. But great stuff they're doing over there. Zach Heiser does a great job, and all the group. They've got a lot of great people working for them. I've tried to help them out a little bit, but I've been mostly a, hey, I'm willing to help whenever you need it, and then telling them I can't because they reach out to me and I'm busy with other crap. So it is what it is. So, but yeah, excited about the partnership. Can't wait to get moving on that. If you want to hit us up during the week, please tweet at James. He's at James Cush on Instagram and X. Please send him a message. Say, quit being lazy on vacation. You should have been on the podcast. Stop slacking, whatever. Give him some crap for not being here and forcing you all to listen to me by myself through this whole episode. You can find me at TSuperspeedway on X. I'm at eyoungdbm on Facebook and Instagram. Our podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, and iHeartRadio. Wherever you found us this week, please subscribe for new episodes each and every week. Watch for video in 2 weeks. Watch for live in 2 weeks. And we'll certainly share it out on our Facebook page if nothing else. So make sure you're following our Facebook page if you want more information about when we go live on the 25th. Speaking of which, we'll be recording every Tuesday on the 25th. So you will get your podcast in your inbox Tuesday nights every week going forward for the rest of the season. So there you go. Richmond is on its way. Iowa is in the rearview mirror. Craftsman Truck Series kicks things off Friday night. The Cup Series takes to action on Saturday with the Cookout 400. We'll be back next week with James, hopefully. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.